Friday. Okay, and I know it's very difficult to push yourself for any activity which is especially for a learning. Okay, and well, when you are completely exhausted for the whole week, and then you're planning to take rest for the whole day, and then suddenly you kicked in with a VAT session. Anyways, I'll not take much of your time, and I will try to make this webinar, uh, you know, very effective for you. That we, in the very minimum span of time, we will try to cover uh, almost all, the complex areas which you know you guys need to understand before you are live with the VAT implementation, VAT effective date. Okay, so anyway, this session we are planning to the session which we are conducting is this is basically for the wholesale and the retail trade. So all the entities which are either hypermarket, retail store, sub, the distribution chain, all these kind of entities will be covered during the session. Okay, so if you are into in any business which is somehow a part of this, so I think this is going to be really helpful for all of you. Okay. So this is okay. So basically, immediately after, we are planning to have approximately 30-minute discussion session, and after that, you can ask any question which you have. You can send us your questions through WhatsApp, through email, or even during the live session, you can raise your hand and you can ask your queries. Okay, we will try to respond all your queries, and I'm pretty sure you'll get the satisfactory answers for all your queries. Okay, and if any query is still pending during the session, so you can just simply drop us an email or a WhatsApp message. Okay, and you'll get replied uh, maximum by 24 hours. Okay, so this is basically the index of what all things we are supposed to go through during the session. First, I will give you a brief, a very small introductory session for Oman VAT. Then we will talk about the sector-specific transactions, like what kind of transactions we have in this uh, wholesale and retail trade industry. This is basically the FMCG segment. And what are the main VAT impact areas? Okay, please make it sure when this uh, VAT impact areas. This is going to be completely a practical aspect which we have figured out during the implementation which we did in UAE, Bahrain, Saudi, and now even in Oman. So I'm pretty sure that you will find it very familiar for all your transactions. Then I will share certain implementation strategies with you. Okay, like we are now sitting just at somehow at the bottom line. Okay, like hardly it's completely approximately 1 month to go. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the last time strategy, like some kind of a pre-examination techniques, like what all things we need to do. And then at the last will is a Q&A session that you can ask as many queries as you want. Okay. So basically, this before I think we go into the the transaction specific impact and all. Uh, uh, what I feel like all of you, the people who are as of now in Oman and working somehow into the accounts and the taxation domain, they need to understand like how they can get updated, how they can update themselves, because it's not a one-time activity. It is a continuous process, and you will be getting so many information, so many updates in the due course. So what you have to do, you have to constantly follow, and please make it sure the data which you are getting, the information which you are getting, it must be coming out from a reliable source. Because now when you'll be getting n number of emails, messages, calls, for various information concerning VAT. So, but what I will suggest you, that please, if you get any kind of like you have to do this and that, and you can do this or anything like this. So please make it sure that you have some kind of a official source of information. The official source of information is the Oman Tax Authority website, where all the informations are available in the public domain. And there is nothing like this, like something is specifically going to someone. No, it's not like this. The complete information is available in the public domain, and it is freely available for each and everyone. Okay, in the same way as it is available for me, the same way it is available for all of you. Okay, so as of now, we have a decree order, which is the VAT law. The executive regulations are, we are anticipating that in due course, hopefully very soon, we will get it from the tax authority. Then after the effective date, or basically now at any time onwards, the tax authority will start issuing various guidance. Like today, we are conducting a session for this uh, sector, basically wholesale and retail trade. So in the same way, this tax authority will issue various guidelines for different industries. Okay, because every industry has a different set of transactions. Okay, so this is the timeline for Oman VAT. The government has published this decree order in the date was 18th of October 2020. So as per the law itself, it was 180 days, because people, a basic question generally ask me, sir, how the 16th of April is coming in, okay, where it is mentioned. So basically, you will not find 16th of April anywhere, but how the 16th of April is coming in, is coming in basis on the law, because the law they have mentioned that the VAT will be effective, or the implementation date will be exactly after the 180 days uh, from the date of publishing of the decree order. And because the decree order was published on 18th of October, the Gazette, so 180 days comes up to the 16th of April. That's why this date is coming in. So, and from this 16th of April, the tax authority has the timeline of 6 months to issue the executive regulations. Okay, well, the timeline is still October, but we are pretty sure that we are going to get it very soon. Okay. This is basically the whole structure of the law as of today. Like this is the Oman VAT law, the decree order, which is having 13 chapter, 106 articles, and this is the content basically. So if you have to, go through with any specific segment, you can go and simply read it. Okay. So basically, this is something which I emphasize a lot. Okay, because on a broader basis, like wholesale and retail trade, there is no industry specific, basically, VAT implication. Except there are certain, the transactions which are either covered in the zero rated or in the exempted category. Okay, so like what I feel primarily, especially the hypermarket, okay, which are generally considered as they are dealing into both B2B and the B2C, and the big retail stores and the distribution channels. So yes, I think this specified food items. I think this is one of the items which we generally find in supermarkets and everywhere. It will be definitely covered into the zero rated category. But other than this, I think it's almost all the products which you are dealing in is taxable. Okay, and there might be certain other products also which I feel, various companies may have been into this medical and medical equipment facilities. Okay, well, like there are so many things which are required: medical bed, wheelchair, or there are so many technical equipment. So if you are a wholesaler or a distributor for any of these kind of products, or yes, uh, you may qualify for zero rated category. Then even in the exempted, they have mentioned certain healthcare services and related goods and services. So what kind of related goods and services it could be? Again, you have to check it out. Like uh, 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 the product which you are into the distribution or you are into the wholesale or retail, whether it is falling under any of these categories. Okay, and basically when the regulation will be out, so they will specify like this, these two lines. They will specify in detail, like what all product. Like now they have mentioned the medical equipments, to which all medical equipments will be considered to get benefit of zero rating. It will be specified in the regulations. So then you can just go and check whether any of the product you are dealing in is into the any of these categories. Okay, but if the product or in which you are dealing in, if it is not falling under in any of these two categories, it will be taxable. Okay, just always follow the default rule, and the default rule says if it is not specifically covered any of these two categories, it is taxable. Okay, so this is basically the wholesale and the retail industry transaction. Now you'll say, it's quite normal. We are just mentioning the purchase and the sale, and yes, it's all about purchase and the sale. Okay, but in like in between purchase and sale, when we talk about trading, so trading you consider like you are buying something and then you are selling something. But even during this buying and selling, there are so many transactions which these companies do. Okay, like if especially I take an example of hypermarket. In hypermarket, yes, they are buying so many products and they are selling so many products. But in this buying selling uh, transaction, there are so many things they do. Okay, like they provide various services, they provide brand promotion, they provide even renting of shelf, where the other companies comes and put their product and display and they charge for this. It qualifies as a service. They provide the deemed supply. Okay, like they provide free various free product. There's a promotional activity. So these kind of transactions you need to identify specifically. Okay, that's why I have highlighted it into the gray. Okay, like these transactions are into the gray area. Yes, the normal purchase transactions you are accounting it for, like for these transactions you have to split primarily into two segments, either it's local or it's import. Okay, because the local supply, the procedure will be different, and in case of import, the procedure is different. Even the documentation is different. The same thing applies for the sale. Okay, and in between the sale and purchase, you need to identify your this gray area, the deemed supply and the services which you are providing. Okay, in the subsequent slide, I'll show you. I have even highlighted certain transactions which I feel are generally companies are entering into. Okay, so basically this is the structure. Like you might fall under the supplier category, or you might fall under the distributor or trader. So this is how the transaction routes. Like it starts with, I just took an example. Like if you are buying something for 600, okay, real. So and if you are buying it from an unregistered person means a person who is not registered for VAT purpose. So the person who is not registered for VAT purpose, he cannot charge VAT. Okay, so then your price would be 600. Okay, and then you sell it with a margin. So on the wholesale price, you are going to charge VAT. Okay, so if we see this example, so you bought something in 600, then you are selling it into 800 because you purchased it from an unregistered person. So you have not paid any VAT. Okay, but while selling, because you are registered, this is again a very basic query people generally ask me. Like sir, the product which we have purchased, we have not paid any VAT. So do we require to charge VAT from our client? Yes, absolutely. There is no doubt in this. If you are registered, then you have to start charging VAT. Either you are buying product from an unregistered person or a registered person, no matter whether you have paid VAT on your supply while purchasing or not, it doesn't matter. If you are registered, then you have to charge VAT. Simple. Okay, and then it's a credit mechanism. Like on sale, you charge something, and the VAT whichever you have paid while purchasing, you deduct it. So if you have a look on this slide, you will realize it was on sales every time we are charging. Like just like in case of distributor, sale price is 1,000, the VAT is 50, and then you are taking the credit is 40. The 40 is something which is coming from here. Okay, and then the balance you are supposed to pay to the tax authority, or we are supposed to pay VAT. It's not the companies. We are as an end consumer, we are supposed to bear the burden. Okay, so in the consumer, they are not eligible to claim credit. So basically, regarding your sector, these are few things which I would like to. I think because there is no specific, as I told you, there is no specific implication for or benefit or any specific procedure to be followed by this wholesale and retail trade. Okay, there's no specific VAT exemption until unless you are dealing in any product which is mentioned in the zero rated or exempted category. Okay, mandatory voluntary threshold. Okay, because now for this year, starting from April till next April, and VAT is being implemented in 4 different phases. So you have to just check it out your threshold. Either you are falling into a mandatory registration category, or if not, then you need to assess your situation whether you should go and opt for voluntary registration or not. So initially, the tax period it is expected to be quarterly. Okay, because the first tax period will be 2.5 months, because VAT is starting from 16th of April. So from 16th of April till 30th of June will be the first tax period, and it is basically it's still an anticipation from our side. We feel then for this year they are going to keep it quarterly. Then eventually they will shift. For big players it will be monthly, and for the small companies it will be quarterly. Okay, effective date is 16th of April. So please make it sure any transaction which you are entering into. Again, when we talk about transaction, so I'm telling you the conclusion of the transaction. When your transaction is being concluded. Okay, if it is being it's being completed on 16th of April, no matter you have started it earlier. Okay, like you have received a document on 15th of April, but your supply is taking place on 16th of April, then you have to pay tax. Then this point which I have specifically mentioned, that imports will be subject to tax. And why I have mentioned, because in case of import, there will be no threshold. Okay, so even if you are importing for 1 real, you have to pay VAT. Okay, from the day one, which is of 16th of April. So any goods which you are getting clear, okay, effective from 16th of April, it will be subject to VAT while custom clearance. Okay, so make it sure. In that case, I think so many companies which are primarily into B2B model and they are importing products, I think even though they don't have this mandatory threshold, they can opt for voluntary registration. Okay, so VAT impact areas. As I told you, we will start from this procurement and the purchase side, like how you are going to do it. Procurement, primarily you will be doing for two things: substantially for goods, but in addition to the goods, you will be having definitely so many services which you require to execute or to run your business effectively. Okay, so the goods generally, if it is coming through the import, so it routes through the custom channel, the port. Okay, like when you import something, it's not something like you bring it directly. No, the goods custom through comes through the custom clearance. Okay, and then there are lots of documentation which you need to complied with, and then after submitting the documentation and paying the duty thereon, then you get your goods cleared from custom. Okay, so in case of goods, straight away you need to have the documentation. CDF is the custom declaration form, along with the payment receipt. You need to have in the name of your company. Because why I mentioned it, because I have seen, especially in the initial phase, because in case of import, companies generally seek guidance or support basically from logistic companies. Okay, the clearing agent. So initially in other countries, what we have seen, the CDF document, uh, so it was in the name of this clearing agency. Okay, so even if the goods belongs to you, but the document is in the name of clearing agency, so you will not be able to claim credit. Okay, so please make it sure up, talk to your clearing agent. Okay, give them instruction that from the next time onwards they start using your entity name instead of their name. Okay, for local supplies, you are going to purchase it either from registered supplier or from non-registered supplier. If you are buying it from a registered supplier, then you need to check, because after VAT, the documentation is having a very vital importance. Okay, so your invoice must have all the mandatory details. Okay, and then invoice which is having a mandatory details is called as a compliant tax invoice. So you have a compliant tax invoice, so that the amount which you are paying for VAT to your supplier locally, you can claim it back. Okay, while filing your VAT return. And if the supplier is not registered, so please make it sure that they cannot charge VAT from you. Okay, because even if you are paying VAT to someone who is not registered, so you cannot claim it. In case of import of service, as of now, understanding is like we are not supposed to pay in cash. It will be just some kind of a book entry. Okay, and then some reporting in the VAT return. Then services, if you are purchasing locally, if you are availing locally and from the same thing, registered or not registered. So the same thing you need to check, like the invoice must have the mandatory details. In the subsequent slide, I'll tell you that what are the details we need actually. Okay, so this is coming for the primarily for your revenue segment, the sales which you do. Either you are selling goods, okay, in the wholesale and the retail trade, and somehow along with the goods, there are so many associated services which we provide. Okay, like when you sell any goods, so sometimes you provide delivery along with the goods, sometimes you provide installation along with the goods. And as of now, what I have seen, it's a combination of few companies charge an inclusive price. For example, if you are buying furniture from a company, so what they do, they give you a wholesale price, for example, 100 real, which is for furniture, and they also provide, they claim it uh, that it includes the delivery and the installation. So they are not going to charge anything separately. They will charge 100 real, in which you will get your furniture at your home installed. That's it. On the other side, various companies, what they do, they charge some amount for a product, then they charge some amount for services separately. Okay, so in that case, you need to have a separate provision for goods and the services. Okay, so what you have to do in both the cases, if it is locally, like within Oman, you are selling any product, so please make it sure, like the same way we ask you to get uh, compliant tax invoice from your supplier. In the same way, your clients will be seeking a compliant tax invoice from your end. So make it sure if the invoice which you are issuing to your customers, to your clients, it is having all the required details. Okay, to be a compliant tax invoice, so that your clients can claim credit. So one more thing, regarding the local or export transaction, any transaction, like for any transaction which you are executing. Earlier, there was no timeline. Basically, there was no legal requirement to issue invoice within a specific time frame. But in VAT, although in the law as of now we don't have a specific number of days, like by when you have to issue a tax. But I'm pretty sure that in regulations, the regulations will be out. They will provide you a timeline. Okay, it may be anything like generally they say at 10 to 15 days from the end of the month in which transaction takes place. For example, if you have delivered any goods in March, okay, by 31st of March, so maximum by 15th of April or 10th of April, you need to issue an invoice. So please make it sure that you keep focus on the timeline. Then export, in case of export, again, exports are will be zero rated. Okay. But to get this benefit of zero rating, you need to have all the required documentation. Okay, the documentation they will specify in the regulations. Then, especially for this big groups, big organizations, they have so many intercompany or the intergroup transactions. And I think this is the main gray area which I feel, because they generally miss out, because there are interdepartmental sale, intercompany sale, intercompany services, even the sharing of manpower. So many transactions are there. So I will recommend to all of you, please, just have focus on, because this sale and purchase everyone covers. That's okay. Okay, because that's an apparent transaction. You see it prima facie, while executing this. But these intercompany transactions, there are so many transactions which when people don't realize they're actually executing it. Okay, but you actually execute. So please highlight these transactions and take care of, because in this case the valuation is an issue, because you don't have anything. Uh, you know, if it's goods, then yes, you have a certain value. But in case of services, okay, you need to ascertain the valuation, the right valuation, and then the timings again, like when you will consider it as a complete, and when you are going to issue an invoice. Okay, so then the others, even in others, I have given some examples, uh, which are somehow the ancillary activities in your normal trading structure. These companies do these activities which I could realize. There might be certain other activities also. Okay, like the sale of scrap. Not all the goods which you buy you sell as it is. There are lots of damages, uh, you know, loss of material. So what you are supposed to do? And in that case, that's as an scrap. So you are going to sell it as a scrap. So what will be the implication on scrap? Then distribution of free samples, which I have mentioned earlier. I explained you, like, this is another point. Like, you cannot distribute product just like anything as a free sample. No. So as of now, basically, generally, what happens? They provide some quantum, okay, of in terms of money. Like, they can tell you can distribute goods worth 100 real per person per year, or 50 real per person. It could be anything, and it will be specified in the regulations. So please make it sure, while distributing any free product, that you comply with this monetary limit. Okay. And various internal consumptions. Internal consumptions means, like, sometimes companies provide so many things to their employees. Okay. So in that case, it's an internal consumption. So in that case, there will be a VAT implication on that internal consumption. Okay. If you have claim credit for the transaction, then you have to pay VAT, even if it is an internal consumption. And if you haven't claimed, because in VAT law, one thing which I really like, which they have clarified in case of goods and services both, that if you have not claimed credit, okay, on the transaction in the past, so there is no questioning of this deemed supply concept. Okay, if you have deemed supply will come into picture only when you have claimed credit in the past. Okay, if you haven't claimed credit in the past, then it will not be subject to deemed supply. Then change in use. Change in use is something like, sometimes you buy something for your business purpose, but then eventually you shift, okay, and you start using it personally. So that's also a thing which attract VAT. Then I have mentioned this manpower supply. Manpower supply, it's a quite common uh, transaction which I have seen, especially in various big groups. Like, there are so many resources, so many people who are part of legally from the labor market authority record, or the labor authority record, they are employee of one entity, but they are working for another entity in the same group. Okay, if it is not part of the same tax group, then even this transaction will be subject to tax. Then the cross supplies. Okay, the cross supplies are like basically, sometimes you enter into a transaction even with your uh, supplier. I'll just take an example. Like you are a distributor of a product ABC. Okay, and then your your supplier is providing you goods. Okay, so somehow you are buying it from your supplier. Okay, and then you further selling this product. But on the other hand, sometimes you do marketing or the promotional activity for that product. Okay, and this promotional activity, because the product belongs to the manufacturer or the main distributor. Okay, so and for the promotional activity which you are doing here in Oman locally, okay, you charge some amount from your main person, the distributor, main distributor, or your supplier. So this kind of cross supply. One side they are selling you the product. On the other side, you are providing them some kind of services. Okay, so these kind of cross supplies will be subject to tax. Okay, and there is no set off in VAT. So you can't say because we have purchased for 100 real and then we have done this activity for 20 real, so we will pay VAT on 80. No, it doesn't happen like this. Okay, your supplier, they are supposed to comply for 100 real, and you as a service provider will be supposed to do compliance, issuing invoice and all these things for this 20 real. Okay, then price adjustment. Sorry, these price adjustments are basically, it happens. The generally structuring is you for the whole year you buy certain product from your supplier, and then you supply it to your clients, or you sell it on a retail mode, and then basically once you achieve a specific target or a quantum, okay, like 100,000, 200,000, or it could be anything, then you get some kind of a price rebate or a price adjustment. Okay, so even this kind of adjustment, it will attract VAT. Sorry. Now this promotional activity I have already explained you. Great. Now this is some key consideration, like uh, please make it sure this slide is very crucial, because it is whatever I mentioned here, it is an extract from the law. Okay, and all these points are mandatory in nature, like it's not something voluntary or discretionary. No, these all points are mandatory, like you have to comply it. It's not a matter of choice. Like especially for this wholesale and retail trade, if you are into B2C model, please make it sure that price which you are displaying, okay, either in your shelf or in your supermarket, in your store, the displayed price must include VAT. Okay, so basically, if all the display tags which you are having as of today, you need to change all this display tag before 16th of April. Okay, or effectively it should be done 16th of April onwards. Okay, so and you have to issue a tax invoice while delivery. So it's quite common, even you are issuing as of today. The only thing which I need to highlight, and I wish to highlight, is after introduction of VAT, even in case of advance, okay, like if you are getting any kind of part payment, even in case of advance, you need to issue a tax invoice for that particular component. Like for example, if you are getting 1000 real order, you are getting 100 real as an advance, you need to issue an invoice for 100 real. Okay, and then the invoices could be of different types, and it will be definitely for sure, because one is a standard tax invoice. Then for the small value transaction, and especially for the B2C transactions, where the maximum clients are unregistered and consumers, in that case there's a concept of simplified tax invoice that can be issued. Then a concept of summary tax invoice, when you have a continuous supply for the whole month, you are every day giving something like this, and transactions are executing in a continuous manner. In that case, you can issue a summary tax invoice on a monthly basis. But again, it will come out from the regulation. As of now, they have not specified the cases and the quantum. I'm pretty sure, hopeful that they will clarify it in the regulations. Then the documentation you need to retain for 10 years. Okay, and if it is if the transactions is anyhow real estate related transaction, then this tenure will be 15 years. Tax invoice is to be issued in Omani Riyal. Please make it sure this is another mandatory point. Like you cannot issue a tax invoice in any other. You can issue, yes, definitely, as an additional currency. Okay, but the tax calculation, it has to be done in the Omani Riyal. So you can have two currencies if you wish to issue an invoice in any other currency, but Omani Riyal has to be there on the invoice. In case of used goods, basically this is for the people who are dealing in the used goods. Okay, this is for them. They can opt for profit margin scheme. This is primarily for practically, I have seen it for used car dealers generally. Okay, so they can opt for profit margin scheme, and profit margin scheme is something like you don't need to pay VAT on gross. Okay, you just need to pay VAT on the margin. So, and the procedure, you need to follow a specific procedure. It will be uh, uh, provided in the regulation. Okay, so this is, I think, the last slide, and very specifically 5 points I've mentioned, which I feel that you need to, must be aware with or must follow. I'll recommend. Like, please do have a pilot run. Okay, whatever system you have, please, sorry, because you, especially the companies which are into B2C model, in that case, it becomes very crucial because from 16th of April midnight, the moment it becomes 12.1, okay, your transaction will attract VAT. Okay, so and because in B2C the transaction volume is too high. Okay, if you missed out something, there is if any, if anything comes in the form of a, the issue or error, so it will attract your operations. Okay, you might have to close down your operation for some time, maybe one day. Okay, so please have a proper test run for the whole transaction, for the whole, the life cycle of a transaction, so that you are comfortable with, because yes, you can just enable and it will be okay. In your IT system, please incorporate the required changes. Even as on today, you can, in IT system, people have another doubt, like they feel like they need to reconstruct a system. No, it's not some kind of a reconstruction. It is just some kind of a adjustment. Okay, and almost in every software, you have a taxonomy feature. You just need to enable it. It's not something like, you need to add tax into the system. It's already there. Be it in accounting software, be it in any accounting software, we already have a tax feature which we just need to enable, and it needs to be a little bit customization. That's it. So then please do set responsibilities for every stakeholder, because VAT is not only related or somehow the responsibility of the finance people only. No, even for the procurement, for the sales, for the admin, for the HR, for others, they all have some kind of a stakeholding in the VAT. In very, if you actually wish to do it very effective, because I'll give you an example, like for procurement, the people who are purchasing, okay, they must be aware of, like they are purchasing it from a registered supplier or from a unregistered supplier. If they are purchasing it from a registered supplier, then they can pay VAT, but they need to make it sure that they get proper documentation. Then only they can claim credit. The same thing will apply for the sales side. Okay, like for example, they must be aware of. For example, export is zero rated, but the salesperson has provided the delivery in Oman. Okay, however, they have issued the invoice to someone outside Oman. Okay, so the moment you deliver the goods in Oman, even to a person outside, who is having an address outside Oman, it will be subject to tax. Okay, and there are a procedure to follow to get the benefit of zero rated transaction. Okay, even for the admin, for the HR, there are so many HR policies which you need to adjust. Okay, from the VAT perspective, so that you don't have any cost impact. Then for trainings, I always recommend, I always suggest for all the companies that they must go for the internal staff training, because as a consultant they are sitting outside. None of the consulting firm is going to come and just to execute your transaction. No one is going to do. Okay, so the transaction is supposed to be executed by your staff, the company staff itself. Okay, so to make your input right, because the consulting firm, what they do, or even what we do, we collect the data from the client. So the data is coming from out of the system, or until unless the data which is coming out of the system is correct, so whatever we people are doing, that's worthless. That's not going to serve any purpose. So please be focused to make your input correct. Okay, like your people who are recording the transactions, they know at least the VAT implications on their jobs, their tasks, and specific provisions for transitional period. Uh, this is a very crucial point. A few people ask me query regarding uh, like that. Sir, if we have received a purchase uh, request, okay, on purchase request on for example 14th of April. Okay, so but you deliver the goods on 16th of April. So whether you need to apply VAT? Yes. For the transitional period, just please make it sure if the delivery, the actual delivery is taking place from on 16th of April onwards. No matter even you have issued invoice earlier, you have received the purchase order earlier. No matter. If the actual delivery will take place from 16th of April onwards, it will be subject to tax. Okay, so I hope you get some insights and you find it useful. That's it. Q&A session. I have few questions with me already. Let's see if you guys have any questions. So let me answer your questions. Okay, so I have few questions. What is? Yes, okay. The first question is details required for tax invoice. What are the details you need to include in tax invoice? So basically, as I told you, generally there are 13, 14 basic requirements, and which is generally quite common. Be it in any country, which is generally the name and the number, VAT number of the supplier, address of the supplier, description of product, date of the invoice, and the number of the invoice. Okay, so these are the basic information you need to include in. But for the high value transaction or primarily B2B transaction, you also need to include the VAT number of your uh, client, okay, the customer. But again, that's not mandatory in all the cases. Let's see what government will prescribe here in Oman. So they will, in a specific article, they will mention all the required features which we need to include, so that you can include it. Okay, you will get it in the regulation itself. There will be a specific article where you will find 13, 14 items that you need to include. Simple. Okay. Any exemptions for the supplies to government companies or the government department? Uh, so many companies here in Oman, they are dealing with various either with the government companies or government department. So whether you need to charge VAT from government? Yes. As on today, there is in the law itself, there is no specific procedure or there is no specific article to provide any kind of exemptions to the government body. Okay. So until unless they specify something, you need to charge VAT. Then simplified tax invoice value. how much up to how much value you can issue a simplified tax invoice. So even again, this will be clarified in the regulations. What I feel generally, it may be around 500 to 1,000 real. It could be any number. So up to this amount, people can issue a simplified tax invoice. But again, exact amount will be clarified in the regulation. But generally, it's like in Bahrain, it's 500 BD. Okay. Purchase order is done. Can we manage? Yeah. The one interesting question which I people generally ask me, because even as of now, uh, uh, you know, uh, I'm going to so many companies, meeting with so many people, and even recently, few days back, I have been somewhere and I realized even the big companies, they are still either they are trying to do it yourself, this VAT, okay, the implementation part, or even so many companies haven't even started yet. So, and they generally ask me, sir, can we do it uh, uh, our own self? Like we already have people here, and our people have some kind of exposure in Texas. So whether we can manage it our own. So, if you'll ask me personally, so I think yes, you can definitely manage it your own. It all depends, the exposure which you have in past. If you have work in any countries like where we already have tax, so definitely you must be having very good understanding for, like if you have been into UAE, Saudi, Bahrain, or even in Asian countries, India, Pakistan, anywhere, because we already have taxes. But the only thing is what I will recommend you, okay, that please substantial things you can manage. That's not, I don't think so, it's not a big issue. But this industry specific transactions, okay, or the company specific transactions, okay, uh, I think you should go for either you can go for some kind of a on-call advisory support, okay, or on-demand advisory support, or at least you guys can go for training sessions. Okay, the Oman specific training session. Substantial things are okay, but for a specific, what's the difference in other country and in Oman? Just to highlight these things, I think if you go with trainings or workshops, I think that will be okay. Okay, and but one thing I will advise you personally, like because VAT is a law, okay, it's a legal obligation. If you have doubt, even a 1% doubt in any transaction, okay, if you are doubtful, if you are, I'm not pretty sure. If you are 100% sure, then definitely you move on. But if you have even 1% doubt, okay, so please do consult with someone, okay, whom you find, any potential person that you are comfortable. Yes, you get the right advice, because otherwise the implications are too high. And basically the implications arises not immediately. Like it will not happen. You in April you start and then in May implication will arise. No, the implication generally arises after, when the government conduct audit. VAT is a self-assessment tax, but it doesn't mean that the government will not come and they will not check your data which you have provided to them through the tax returns. Okay, definitely they have a right and they will come for sure. It happens everywhere. I'm pretty sure the people who have idea for tax, they have idea for tax audit also. Okay. So that time when they realize after 1 year or 1.5 year, 2 year, any time. So the basically the in addition to the tax, the penalties are huge. And in Oman we have a provision of additional tax also, which is in the nature of interest. So yes, if you are comfortable with if you have 100% surety for any transaction, please go ahead. But if you have doubt, please do clarify it. Okay, that's the only thing I advise. So, anyways, I think it's done now, and we don't have any other query pending. If you guys have any queries, so you can ask now. Or I think it's done from my side, Mahesh. I think.
Okay, thank you, Sachin, for that wonderful session. I
Thank you.
urge all the attendees here, take your time, and if you have any queries, you may please email to us the email provided, or you may contact us in the contact number with provided if in case of any support needed. So thank you once again for joining us in this afternoon on a Friday. Thank you once again. We will be conducting similar seminars in the coming week. We have another one going on tomorrow, same time, 2 to 3. If you are interested, you may join that. And please visit our LinkedIn page. You may find more webinars useful. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. Have a good day.